Hello and welcome to the Comeback Mechanics November 2025 Gym Leader Challenge Tournament. My name is Cody Hope and I'm casting for you this feature match between Steve Zhao with the SPOOKIDORI and John Ribideau with the Hydro Dump. The Comeback Mechanics are a competitive team based in Dallas, Texas, and this matchup is from our monthly GLC tournament. As always, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Lone Star Pack Breaks in Carrollton, Texas, who so generously provide prizing for our tournaments.
Join Lone Star Pack Breaks live on Twitch Wednesday through Friday nights to rip into the latest Pokemon sets in English and Japanese, plus One Piece, Weiss, Union Arena, Final Fantasy, and more. LSPB ships anywhere in the U.S. Or if you're local, choose in-store pickup at their shop in Carrollton, Texas. Pickup orders are usually ready 1 to 2 days after a stream. Plus, if you're a Pokemon player, don't miss their standard tournaments every Wednesday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. Check out the links below to get in on the action.
Huge thanks again to Lone Star Pack Breaks for sponsoring the channel. And getting into the games here, Steve is over on the left and he is playing a real spooky build of Psychic built around the Munkidori, that big Adrenabrain ability, one of the most busted abilities, period, here. And we see he's off to a pretty good start. He is opened on the Mysterious Tail Mew and got a Nest Ball. Gonna use his Matty Map, where the first time you search your deck, can take a peek over at those prizes. Nothing too important prized for him, thankfully. And so that Nest Ball is just gonna grab him a Routes and got a nice level ball as well to get himself the Not To. We see a lot of the usual suspects here in this Psychic deck. The big cute inclusions are the Gengar, that Netherworld Gate ability, where if it's in the discard pile, can put it on the bench, but you got to put 3 damage counters on it. That's really, really nice when you have the Munkidori, which can then move that 3 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Also has the Giratina, which kind of has a similar thing. You can put it from the discard pile on the bench, but you get to put some damage on your opponent's benched Pokemon instead. Real nice. Over to John's side here, we see he gets to open up on the Irida, and nothing really important in his prize cards either. And we see that he's kind of on a bit of a different build of the Hydro Pump archetype. We see that he is not on the Wailord at all. Instead, he is trying to put a bunch of water energy in his discard pile, so then he can use attacks that put it back into his deck. You know, a little bit of the rain cycle here, you know. Gonna use something like the Starmie or even the just gonna use something like the Starmie, where you can discard water energy from it to deal a bunch of damage, and then using something like the Kyogre or like the Hisuian Basculegion, which does 20 damage for each water energy in your discard pile, but then you get to shuffle all those water energies back into your deck. Really, really nice. And we see off of that Irida, he is indeed going to grab that Hisuian Basculin and going to quick ball away a water energy. Gets to grab himself any basic he wants. He is going to grab that Sobble. The Sobble is, of course, trying to end up with that Shady Dealings Drizzile, but John is instead playing the Quick Shooting Inteleon rather than playing the Shady Dealings Inteleon. So we get to see a little bit of extra utility there. Are going to see an attach to the Basculin, which is really interesting. And Floatstone on the Rimraid, that makes a lot of sense. I was thinking, why don't we just attach and retreat? Because instead going to use that Gather the Crew attack, search your deck for 2 basics, put them on your bench, real nice. I wonder if John is thinking about going in with TM Evolution next turn maybe. Or, you know, he's also just got the water energy on the Basculin, so if Steve can knock it out, that's another water energy in the discard pile. So real nice there. We see that Steve is going into the Kirlia, gets to use that powerful refinement ability to draw 2. And then we're going to see the Mew here going to grab that Quick Ball, which I don't know if there's any doesn't have any of those really cool discard, like Pokemon you want to discard yet. Like what would be really nice is to go like Quick Ball discarding the Gengar. Like that would be really, really sick here. Now, something Steve could do is go Quick Ball to get the Giratina, which, as we see, he's quick balling away a Dark Energy. So I don't think he's grabbing Munkidori here. Yeah, that would have been a pretty no-brainer grab if he kept the Dark Energy. Instead, he's going to grab that Inkay, trying to get his engine kind of set up. That Malamar, real good friend, has the psychic recharge ability, can put a psychic energy from your discard pile onto one of your benched Pokemon. No, instead he's going to grab that Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime, really great, has the bench barrier ability. We used to see people play the bench barrier Mew a lot, but we have seen more people switch over to that mysterious tail Mew. But you still want the bench barrier effect. Psychic, really nice, is that it has more than one bench barrier ability, and so it gets to grab that Mr. Mime in order to do so. And I think we're going to see, I think that is a mysterious treasure here. Gonna discard, no, thinking about it. Real hard. You got to really manage your resources. There's not a lot in the hand. You think about getting rid of that Curlia, maybe, or not Curlia, the Clara, to maybe use that mysterious treasure. Could maybe grab something like the Giratina, maybe the Gengar even, and then could use the Ultra Ball to discard that Gengar. That would be a really nice little Wombo combo there. But no, instead, Steve is just going to take it nice and slow. He's just going to pass. Doesn't think that John is going to be attacking just yet. And let's see if that happens. John is going to use Level Ball here to search for a Pokemon with 90 or less HP. Yep, just going to get that Shady Dealings Drizzile, which is then going to allow him to search his deck for any trainer card he wants. Could grab a supporter card even. And that could be really, really nice. Maybe he grabs something like the Arven, which would then allow him to grab TM Evolution out of his deck. Could then maybe evolve up the Remoraid, maybe the Staryu, or maybe even this Piplup. We see that John is on the Empoleon that has the Recall attack, where you get to use one of your previous evolution's attack cards, which is really nice because we see that this Piplup has the Bubble Hold, does 80 damage, and if the defending Pokemon is a basic, it can't attack. Get to do that for just 1 energy, which is really nice. Or could even do the Prinplups attack, which again has 3 energy cost, but you get to use it for 1, discard all the energy on it, and do 100 to just one of the Pokemon. Really, really nice there. But instead, we just see him grab the Ultra Ball, use the Ultra Ball to grab that Octillery, and then he's going to use that Octillery to draw himself several cards. We see he's going to attach to the Staryu, and Big Lily's Determination. Very nice card from Mega Evolution. Because John has taken no prize cards yet, he gets to shuffle his hand into his deck and draw a huge 8 cards. So a lot of good advantage for John here. What's nice is even if John had already taken a prize card, then Lily's Determination is just Cynthia. And we see that Cynthia sees play in Gym Leader Challenge, but I don't think it's going to be seeing much play anymore because Lily's Determination is just a strictly better Cynthia. We do see that the Piplup is going to get evolved into the Prinplup. So one step closer to that Empoleon. And we are going to see the Rapid Strike Starmie coming down. I really like this Starmie. It has a really unique kind of spread attack, the multi-shot star. You discard energy from it, and then for each energy you discard, you pick a Pokemon to do 32. So if you discard 3 energy, you get to do 30 damage 3 times, and you can be all the same Pokemon. You can spread it to different Pokemon. You know, the world's your oyster, so to speak. And so that's a really nice, be able to spread, deal a bunch of damage. Unfortunately, that Mr. Mime is stopping it. So instead, just going to see this Kyogre come down, and then we're going to see a pass back over to Steve. Steve has the Earthen Vessel here. He's going to get rid of the Fog Crystal to grab himself 2 Psychic Energy. Really nice. The Earthen Vessel can help you get the Dark Energy you need for Munkidori. But in this case, just grabbing 2 Psychic makes a lot of sense. Going to see that Refinement to get rid of 1, draw 2 more cards, and Marnie is a good supporter card to have grabbed there. And now we're going to see John kind of start to turbo some Pokemon out of his deck here using the Mysterious Treasure, getting rid of the Rescue Stretcher, choosing to keep that Night Stretcher just in case. And oh, I see the Mysterious Treasure is grabbing the Gallade here. Grabbing himself the Gallade here. Very, very nice. And just gets to go up into Gallade and can use Buddy Catch now to grab any supporter he wants out of his deck. Very, very nice. I wonder what the grab will be. Maybe could be something like, again, Arven. To me, just Arven's one of the best cards in the game, right? Can grab that U-turn board to get the Mew out of the active. Can then grab maybe a nice support item card like the Evolution Incense would be really nice. And he is going to grab the Arven, but instead he's going to grab the Battle Compressor. And he's grabbing Float Stone. Yeah, Battle Compressor really nice here. Why, get those Pokemon in the hand and then discard them when you can just get rid of Gengar, Giratina, and I imagine maybe, gonna get rid of the Buddy Poffin. Steve is on the Battle VIP Pass, but I think Battle Pass is in the prizes if I remember correctly. So could have, gotten rid of Battle Pass as well. Just 3 cards you never want to see in your hand. So really nice job for Steve here. And if Steve can find himself, the Natu or the Xatu, then he can maybe start getting in there with the Gengar, which would be really nice here. And I forget he did hang on to that Night Stretcher, so he could Night Stretcher to get himself back an energy card, go into like the Gengar, and then could take a knockout on this Hisuian Basculin. Here would be very, very nice for him. But he's got just a ton of option cards in his hand. So we'll see what he ends up doing. And instead he's going to grab the Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet really nice, and going to attach that Mystery Energy, which reduces the retreat cost of the Pokemon it's attached to by 2. Going to allow him to retreat into that Wobbuffet, which while the Wobbuffet is in the active, shuts off all abilities except for Psychic Pokemon. So now John cannot Abyssal Hand, and he cannot use the quick shooting on that Inteleon. So very, very nice here. Kind of slow John down just a little bit. Hopefully, is the plan. But that Professor's Letter for 2 water is really nice. Can maybe attach it to the Starmie. Unfortunately, the Starmie can't hit the bench, but it can just maybe try to knock out the Wobbuffet in the active maybe. And Crasher Wake. That's a really, really cool supporter card here. Because again, right, John is trying to put a bunch of water energy in his discard pile rather than accelerate it into play. And that Crasher Wake has where if you just discard 2 water energy from your hand, you get to search your deck for 2 cards. So it is a -1. You're right. You're getting rid of 3 cards to grab 2, but it's any 2 cards in your deck. No restrictions at all. And John actively wants the water energy in his discard. So like he is going very, very up on advantage here, which is really slick. And especially nice considering his abilities are shut off. He gets to kind of, I don't care about drawing into these cards. I'm just going to search them. Unfortunately, that was his supporter for the turn. So I think I saw Boss's Orders was one of the grabs here. Yeah, and I can't quite use it just yet. But he was able to grab himself the Empoleon, which only attacks for a singular energy. So he could copy the effect of maybe the Piplup here to do 90. I'm going to attach U-turn board to the Basculin. I'm going to attach to that Empoleon. And I wonder which attack he's going to use. He's going to use the Piplup here. So going to do 80 damage, which is really, really nice. And is going to make it so the Wobbuffet can't attack during the next turn. Really cool. I don't think the Wobbuffet was going to get to attack here. Maybe it could with the Xatu, but no, we're just going to see a Float Stone coming down on the Wobbuffet. Going to allow Steve to retreat, maybe get himself an attack off with the Gengar is what I would imagine. Gengar would do 100 damage to the Empoleon, which is not quite enough to knock it out, but it is enough to kind of pressure it just a little bit, make it where, maybe a couple Munkidori activations could then knock out the Empoleon as well. But, again, that Munkidori is not quite set up just yet. We are going to see the Ultra Ball, going to grab that Xatu Clairvoyant Sense to accelerate some energy into play. And, Steve is going to eye up the Gallade here. And good news, John hasn't taken a prize card yet, which means Steve cannot use the counter energy to attack with the Gallade this turn. So, working out for John a little bit here. And let's see what the supporter grab here is off of Buddy Catch. All right, and seeing what supporter we're going to grab here. Lots of good options for Steve here. And yeah, just let's see. He has Clara in his hand already, so some nice recovery. Could go for something like maybe Crispin to help accelerate some more energy would be pretty nice. Grabbing Guzma here, a gust effect would be really nice as well. To help maybe pull up something like the Octillery, or maybe even the Starmie, trying to get some a knockout here. Especially using the Gengar. Yeah, I can attach for turn to the Gengar, and then Big Guzma probably going to pull up that Octillery here. And Gengar will put 100 damage counters on whatever Pokemon Steve decides to pull up, which I assume will knock it out. Instead, going to go for the Starmie and take a big knockout there. That makes sense. Currently, Starmie is kind of the best attacker that John has access to. So that makes sense. Just use Netherworld Gate for 100 and big knockout. So we are going to see the first prize card of the game. Steve going down to 5 prizes. And because of that Field Blower getting rid of the Float Stone, John is going to have a little bit of a harder time moving his Pokemon around here. Good news for him is that the Empoleon is still just a really solid attacker. Can knock out the Gengar right now just without any extra little abilities here, because that Gengar does have 90 HP remaining. So can use the attack of the Prinplup direct. Oh no, sorry, direct dive has to be to a benched Pokemon. So cannot use that direct dive for a knockout. But I guess doing 80 damage is not quite enough. That is 10 less. Could have done quick shooting to get it up to 50 and then could have taken a knockout with the Piplup's attack, but nah, instead gonna boss up that Xatu. Really nice. And big Capacious Bucket to grab John 2 more water energies. And if he has something like the Hisuian Basculegion, could maybe take a knockout with Basculegion here, which would be kind of cool. Although the Empoleon does have 2 retreats, so going to need to get this Empoleon out of the active spot if he wants to do that. But yeah, we're just going to see, an attach for turn here. Let's see, I believe, the Aqua Fall does 130, but you got to discard all energy from it. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, just going to see the big Aqua Fall to get rid of that the Xatu. So we're going to tie up the series here, 5 apiece. And Steve gets to go back into that Mew, get to use Mysterious Tail, and then with that Mystery Energy, just gets to get that free retreat, which is very, very nice. And we see that Steve is doing just a great job of thinning his deck, using his support, using that Buddy Catch to grab supporters out of the deck. Now that Mysterious Tail is just going to be a little bit more potent now that there's less cards in the deck. But before we even do that, we're going to go ahead and use the Raihan. Going to accelerate an energy onto the Gallade. I do believe that Gallade now has 2 energy on it. So maybe Steve grabs something like the Dimension Valley, which would allow him to attack with Gallade this turn, which would be very, very nice. Or could even maybe see him try to go for, he's just going to grab a Psychic Energy. This also makes a lot of sense. He hasn't committed his attach for turn. And because Swirling Slice moves an energy to one of his benched Pokemon, the Psychic Energy is kind of, I guess, better served on the Gallade. Like, that makes a lot of sense to me. And, going to put Counter Energy on Gallade. Very, very nice. The Counter Energy isn't live. I believe both players are at 5 prizes. But Gallade does not care what energy it moves. It can move special energy. So Steve could move this counter energy to one of his benched Pokemon, or could maybe move a Psychic Energy off of it. Just say, I'm okay with this counter energy going to the discard pile. I plan on staying ahead the rest of the game here. Because that Swirling Slice is going to be enough to knock out this Empoleon. And then let's see where he moves. Yeah, he's going to instead move the Psychic Energy onto the Giratina, which he just got back onto his bench. Very nice there. Going to see a big draw for turn for this Hisuian Basculin up in the active. Could go into the Basculegion. I think that's what John's going to want to do, is go into the Basculegion. But I don't think he currently has the ability to do that. So we're going to have to try to maybe thin out his hand and use that Abyssal Hand of the Octillery to try to draw into it. Instead going to do the Morty's Conviction. Going to discard a Water Energy and then going to draw some cards here. And let's see if he found it. I see that the splash energy is in the hand, which is nice. See Manaphy. Manaphy ain't going to do a lot. Sacred Ash is really nice. Gets to put 5 Pokemon back into the deck. And you see that he's going to do the Empoleon line as well as that Staryu Starmie. And just gets to Buddy Poffin both of those basics back onto his bench. Really, really nice for John there. Going to help him redeploy some of his potent attackers. And yeah, that's a very, very nice for him. Unfortunately, this Mr. Mime is really doing a great job of kind of walling the bench damage of Starmie. So probably could see him go in with the Kyogre if he doesn't find the Basculegion. Could be maybe the plan here. That Kyogre is going to do 20 damage for each water energy in the discard pile. And I do believe there is, I think, 6. So that would be 120 with the 20 damage that was just quick shooting down to the Gallade. That is going to be enough to take a knockout on the Gallade. So really nice. John has kind of spent the whole game putting these water energies in the discard pile just so he can put them back in his deck with this Kyogre. And nice. Enhanced Hammer is going to get rid of that mystery energy, going to remove the free retreat on that Mew. So now Steve still does have access to a free pivot because that float stone is still on the Wobbuffet, but Wobbuffet's going to get a lot less value as a pivot compared to the Mew. And yep, just going to see the 6 water energy get put into the deck thanks to that Kyogre's attack and going to take a big knockout on the Gallade, that Riptide. And I actually think I see an additional water energy in John's discard pile. You can see it peeking up there in the back. So that should have gotten shuffled back into the deck as well. We'll see if the players catch it on a future turn, or at the very least that it doesn't come up in any meaningful way. And going to see this Mew using its Mysterious Tail once again. Going to grab that Pokegear 3.0. And let's see if he ends up using it. Don't think he is. He says he's just going to use that Guzma, which he got back with the Versus Seeker. And maybe could take an easy knockout here with the Gengar on maybe the Octillery. Could pull up the Basculin or any one of those evolving Pokemon, the Staryu or the Piplup as well. Like lots of options for John here, or for Steve here to kind of maintain advantage. And ooh, big Parallel City. That's a little rough. That is going to force John to discard 2 of his Pokemon here. And yeah, real tough. The Basculin makes some sense. That Basculegion has not been able to really do anything. And you get to put that U-turn board back in the hand, which is really nice. And I imagine the second one's probably the Piplup or the Staryu. It's like one of those two probably. It's probably not the Inteleon, definitely not the Octillery, but the problem is getting rid of that Staryu is going to allow Steve to just probably use Guzma, to pull up the other one, pull up the Piplup, use that Gengar's Netherworld Gate to knock out that Piplup, and going to allow Steve to take another prize card down to 3, up 3 to 4, so very nice for him. It is neck and neck, but I see that John's board state kind of got decimated. 5 or 6 really solid Pokemon in play, down to 2 and then the Kyogre, right? Versus Seeker is a really great draw. Can get back any supporter card he wants. And yeah, taking a thumb through that discard pile. Could grab something like maybe the Crasher Wake would be a pretty good one. Just go grab any 2 cards he wants. And big Earthen Vessel. Going to discard that water energy to grab 2 more, which, I think Versus Seeker for Crasher Wake seems really nice. That would put John up to 4 water energy in the discard pile for that Kyogre, which would be enough for a knockout on this Gengar. Really cool. Yeah, that's really, really nice. And good news, this U-turn board can just go down on the Inteleon. Free retreat. I'm digging this. I'm really, really liking this. Unfortunately, John only has the 1 bench spot thanks to Parallel City, so it's not like he can really deploy a whole lot here. So he's running pretty low on attackers, and the bad thing for Steve is that, Steve has these recurring attackers. And so, I think they may have caught it here. Yeah, John has he found that water energy in the rest of his stuff, and he's like, wait a minute, I think that was supposed to be in the deck, which it was. And we're just going to see it shuffle back in. Easy enough to fix. Yes, technically John could have drawn that water energy for turn, but, it's fine. And so he is instead using that Nessa, going to pick up his Piplup line here. And yeah, it's like that's pretty nice. Got some water energies in his hand as well. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to take a knock. Well, let's see. Kyogre does what, 20 for each water energy, so he can do 40 right now, which is not enough to knock out this Gengar. He needs at least a couple more in there, but well, I guess what? The Inteleon can put the Gengar up to 50 damage, and then you can do 40. That's still only 90. Gonna need a little bit more if he wants to take a knockout here. And I see can attach to the Kyogre. And ooh, Aqua Patch. Okay. I'm loving that. Aqua Patch, you get to accelerate a water energy from the discard pile onto a benched Pokemon. And is instead going to get to use the Swirling Waves attack for 130, knocking out this Gengar. And just going to discard the 2 basic water energy on it, which would then make Riptide a whole lot better next turn. Very, very nice. And is even using the Splash energy. So if this Kyogre gets knocked out, the Kyogre can just go back into the hand. So a Riptide next turn definitely seems like it's going to happen. And we are just neck and neck, big 3 prize cards apiece. That Mew is going to grab the Energy Retrieval. Very nice to get some Psychic Energy back into the hand, or maybe even could grab that Dark Energy. We just see that there's a lot of damage sitting on this Wobbuffet, so getting to set up the Munkidori would be very nice for Steve here, and just kind of help streaming together some of these knockouts. And let's see what the Pokegear finds. Crispin and Lusamine. Lusamine's really nice, can get back some stuff from the discard pile, but it's like Crispin's really nice for setting up the Munkidori, but I just don't think that that's going to happen. And I think Steve actually doesn't even have a Dark Energy target for Crispin. We see one's in the discard pile, and I think the other Dark is, oh no, the other Dark is not in the hand. So Crispin is live here. Oh, the Dark is in the Pokegear pile. So it does, in fact, at least have 2 targets for Crispin. So could use Crispin to put a Psychic on the Giratina, put that Dark Energy in the hand, and then, yeah, that would be a very, very nice use of resources here. But we also see that the Psychic Energy is already in the hand, so could just maybe attach to Giratina, and then, yeah, use something like Bird Keeper, go up into this Wobbuffet, sure, draw a couple of cards. We see Inkay, Monkey Dark, that's very nice as well. Unfortunately, the supporter in the Bird Keeper was used, so if John wants to put, I am really messing up our players' names. I just keep flip-flopping them around. I'm sorry, y'all. I owe y'all an apology. Steve, cannot use the Crispin to get all that energy into play. Instead, is just going to attach to the Tina, and then is going to use that attack, that Shadow Impact 130 on the Kyogre, which actually is not enough to knock it out. That Kyogre has 150. And you got to put 4 damage counters on one of your own Pokemon. Going to put it on that Munkidori. So here is the good news, though, is that Steve is just going to be able to use Munkidori on his next turn, take a knockout on this Kyogre, go down to 2 prizes, and then can, go down to 1 with his attack. So he is technically still ahead, unless John is able to maybe boss KO the Monkey. That would be really nice. And because Steve did put 4 damage counters on that Munkidori, it's a lot easier to get a knockout on it. Only needs 70 damage, which 1 more water energy would allow the Kyogre to do it, which would be nice. Although I don't think that John currently has the ability to boss at this point he doesn't even need the extra energy. He can use the quick shooting on the Inteleon, get that Munkidori up to 60, and then could use Riptide for knockout. And he does have the Guzma in the hand here. I was going to say, don't think he has a way to get that water energy in the discard plus doing that, but he actually had no Guzma. It's just good enough. Guzma up into the Inteleon, U-turn board back into the Kyogre, quick shooting onto the Munkidori. Yeah, this is really, really, really nice play from John here. Going to deny Steve that extra prize card off of the Monkey. So now maybe Steve is just going to have to punch into this Kyogre, and that is going to allow John to kind of take the lead here. That does allow the counter energy to be on, or no, the counter energy is in the discard pile. That Gallade was knocked out, so let's see if Steve can just recover the Munkidori. We did see that I think the rescue stretcher. Oh, yeah. Okay, Clara. Just has Clara. I don't know if Steve wants his supporter for turn 2 be Clara, but I mean, like, that's just so good. Get back Monkey, get back a Psychic Energy. Maybe you can get back that Dark Energy. Yeah. I can grab maybe something like, I can get Natu or Xatu, right? You're going to only grab one of those. Just not going to grab either of them. Yeah, it makes sense. I don't think you're going to have enough time to redeploy it. I think the idea is that Steve wants to go down to one prize this turn. And yeah, especially when you get to Evo Soda into that Malamar, Tina is going to get to take an attack this turn. And yep, there's the Munkidori, there's the Dark, can move 30 off of this Wobbuffet, knock out the Kyogre. Real rough here. So yep, going to go down to 2 prizes. And you know what? We really get to see the strength of Town Map here as a card, allowing Steve to just never draw that Battle Pass. Yeah, gets to be his 6th prize card, which is really nice. And we also see that Steve is just really turboed through his deck, only has a couple of cards left. And so Hand Attack is going to be not very effective because, Steve can just kind of turbo through the rest of his deck thanks to Mew and, the couple cards he will get to draw here. And yeah, I imagine we will just see Giratina take a big knockout on that Inteleon. And then once that happens, I just don't know how John's going to be able to get back into the game. Guess he does have access to the does not have access to the Kyogre. The Splash Energy only triggers, I think, when that Pokemon is knocked out due to an attack. So, wow, very nice extra piece of disruption. And No is choosing not to attack. Wants to stay at 2 prize cards here. Not going to attack with the Tina. Going to instead just push up the Wobbuffet, shutting off all of John's abilities, which is nice. But it does allow him to, bench this Hisuian Basculin, which means he can go into the Basculegion and try to mount a comeback. Very interesting. I understand that maybe you want to use the Wobbuffet to shut off the abilities. Maybe you want to try to go into a Gust, maybe knock out the Octillery, or maybe knock out that Starmie. But, I think you're just giving John a lot of time here to get back into the game. And yeah, we just see he's going to use Multi-Shot Star, going to, discard both those water energies, take a knockout, and he's down to 1. So, yeah, Steve deciding to kind of take it slow here could be coming back to bite him. Dimension Valley's nice. He's got the Giratina to attack, but, maybe that's what he's wanting. He's wanting to wait because the Giratina will have 20 damage on it. 110 isn't a lot of HP, and, it's like, yeah, I suppose so. But, John, if you were able to knock out the Inteleon, that would have been really nice as well. But, but now John gets access to the Inteleon here. So really interesting there. We're going to see the Monkey move 20 damage onto that Basculin. So, John has kind of been missing the Basculegion the whole game. If he doesn't hit this Basculegion, I think that is just going to allow Steve to win the game on his next turn. So, that's not great. And he's thinking about doing an Ino here to put John down to a singular card in hand. But we know because of the Abyssal Hand on that Octillery, he's going to get to redraw all of those cards, go back up to 5 in hand. So I actually think this might be John's game here. John is kind of in a commanding position as long as he can get into the Basculegion. If he gets in the Basculegion, I think he's feeling pretty good. If he doesn't, then it's a little tougher here, right? Especially if Steve decides to just park this Giratina up in the active spot, that would be pretty good. But again, we really see the Mr. Mime is kind of holding that the Starmie at bay. And see the Ino and the Hex Maniac. He's picking, if I Hex Maniac, I can shut off those abilities, but Ino, you're just going to Octillery back up, doesn't seem great. And so, yeah, let's see how this one card goes for John here. This is kind of the thing, right? Even though Steve is now behind, if Steve just goes Giratina, take a knockout, and John, he's going to have 2 cards. And if he's unable to kind of get a knockout here, is able to piece that together, he is just going to lose the game. I think it's going to be a little difficult to get enough water energy to maybe make that, the Upstream Spirits, I think is the name of the attack. Yeah, Upstream Spirits of the Basculegion only does 20 damage for each energy in the discard pile, so not a lot. And, could see maybe something like, instead we're going to go up into the Munkidori, and we're just going to see big Mind Bend Gonna put 60 on that Starmie and then just a pass. You know what? This kind of makes sense. You know what? Let's use that as Suian Heavy Ball. Let's take a peek at that last prize. And we get to thin it out of the hand. Octillery to draw some cards. I see the thought process here. You've confused the Starmie. You're not taking a prize. So that next turn you can go put the Gengar on the bench, take a knockout on the Starmie, and then Giratina for knockout. That makes a lot of sense. But it's just like, I don't know, man. It's you've like given John a really good opportunity to just attach retreat from the Starmie, go into Bastia Legion. There's now 3, that's 60, 70, 80 with the Inteleon. So you need 2 more energy cards in the discard pile to take a knockout. Like, that's what he needs. And Arven is a nice way to maybe get there. Let's see. I don't think that there's any TM Devo shenanigans that can happen. And yeah, I don't know if Versus Seeker is going to be good enough here. Yeah, I don't know if Versus Seeker is going to do it. I mean, that's great for next turn, but I think that Steve is going to win the game on the next turn, right? Because that Starmie only has 90. Gengar does get to, take a knockout, and then Tina gets to clean it up from there. And yeah, there's no water energy in John's like normal discard, right? He's only got the 2 that we see visible here. So yeah, that doesn't seem awesome for him. I'm going to attach for turn to the Inteleon. Maybe going to try to Waterfall for 70. Could be pretty cute. And yeah, just going to pass it over to Steve. And I think I think Steve is going to be able to get there. Can just Gengar back on the bench, can knock out the Tina or knock out the Starmie, and then you just go in with the Giratina for game, yeah? Because I don't think that Inteleon has enough HP to tank a hit, unless I'm mistaken. It could. It's got, what, 150? But and the Tina only hits for 130. I see. That is not enough. 20 short. So yeah, the Munkidori can put the 20 on there that you need, but that's again not quite enough here. I see what the issue we're having here is that we're just not quite able to knock out like everything you want. And because you used that Parallel City on a previous turn to limit John's bench size, John does not have enough benched Pokemon for the Gengar to take a knockout. So that really interesting. Makes a lot of sense. Oh no, never mind. Sorry, just get to use Monkey, knock out the Basculin, and then you get to go, Giratina. You didn't even have to go in with the Tina. You could have just Monkeyed to knock out the Starmie here. So really, John needed to attach retreat up into the Inteleon or something else. That would have been really nice for him. But yeah, okay, very nice that Steve was able to piece it together here at the end. Real awkward end of the game, where both players just kind of stumbling for just enough that the other player could have gotten there. And we see that Steve was able to piece that together. Very, very nice. And that is going to do it for today's video. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why don't you let me know down in the comments? And while you're down there, why don't you go ahead and click our link in the description and get yourself some dual spec sleeves. Doing so really, really helps out the channel. And with that, my name is Cody, and I'm going to be signing out.